Peace, love, and law. I want to take a few minutes to talk about trust and public and private. So now, whenever you start to investigate how trust works and you start to become a little bit more active and you want to be a good trustee, right? You find out that part of your duties and responsibilities is to, first of all, keep track of all the properties that belong to the trust. So you're going to have a special book or a special registry to keep track of all of that, right? So when the trust receives property, it is now your job as a good trustee to register that property into the trust registry. Now, once it is registered as a trust property, right, that's it, that belongs to the trust. The trust has already made its official documentation and record of it. There you go. Now, if you notice, that you can do that privately. Everybody has a right. Now, the public has rights too. In the very same way, the public has the right to register what is of the public in the public trust. So you'll notice that the state or the crown, they have first dibs, and actually the reason they have first dibs on all the property in the public is because everything in the public is considered abandoned property, but it's not really secured. So the government will make sure it gets secured. Why does it have to be secured? Well, remember that the public now is operating on a financial system that is mainly credit instruments. How about that? Credit instruments. It's not no value in the currency that is being used today. So because there is no value in the currency being used today, meaning that we're using promissory notes, bills of exchange, they represent, right, or they imply an obligation. So the only reason that it has any value really is because it is also understood that the performance of those obligations will be done by somebody who's providing living energy, right? So you have your living energy, and it's called labor, time and energy. So these instruments are operating on credit based on the one providing the labor. The labor is considered mostly the valuable substance that is providing for the forms of substance, which is currency or money. Because money is not really anything of value, it represents value. Money is a type of property that represents value. Money is not value unless we accept it for value. And again, that doesn't mean the A for V, but if you work for somebody, right, your time and energy, and they offer you a plate of food in exchange for your type of energy, then that food is what you accepted for your value. So you accepted the food for value. You understand? So because you understand too that there was value behind it, and it's valuable to you because it's sustenance for you, right? So now in the public, all the properties that go and get registered in the public, it is actually going in the public registry, right? That's why especially you have these registrars that take account of all that, right? So when we register a company, it has to go to the company's registry, and the registrar is the one that is going to log that in, and it is going to be a property of interest to the public, right? So now that public entity, which was created and registered to the public trust, must now follow the public laws, which are governed by the public government, right? So the registration of a property like a business or a car or a house or a land or a gun or anything, right, that is registered is going into the public registry. And once in the public registry, the public trustees are now responsible for keeping proper records, and to then also make sure that that property is covered of liabilities. Have to. That's why the public trustees make sure that if you're holding property that's going to be in the public, you're going to have to make that you're going to have to cover the liability and get insurance. That's why insurance is a must in public, because it's a public trust, and everything in the public is considered abandoned, but the government is taking care of it and accounting for it until maybe one day somebody will claim it. But until then, the government will appoint official trustees holding and being in custody of the property of interest to the state. Right? So now the ones holding that property will receive a certificate of title, and therefore the public, the state, will grant that certificate of title to the one registering the property, creating a public trust, which is the grantor, being the state. The state is granting to the person or the individual, whatever you want to call it, but it's also giving us a certificate for that, creating a trust, meaning that now they're giving us, or giving the public, legal title, and they're retaining beneficial title, creating a trust. They become grantor, beneficiary, and we become a trustee. Implied, everything implied, as you know what I mean. It's not and remember, it's implied because of our conduct. We're just going along with it. So we have an option to register in the public trust or register it in a private trust, but it needs to be registered. Why? Because the creditors of this commercial world are all private anyway, which are us, the living people, which are outside the world of paper and electronic storage. We are outside of that realm. So that's a little few minutes on public and private and trust. Hope this was helpful.